Hello, Canucks fans. Welcome back to the episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you by Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. My name is Dave Quadrelli. I am joined by Harmon Dial, our technical producer today, Jake Frazier, writer at Canucks Army, and new employee of ours. He's filling in for Jacob Lazar today. And yes, Jacob goes by Jacob sometimes, but we call him Jake because we can't let it get too confusing. So we've got a lot to get to, and people, the reason I bring it up right off the top is that people in the chat are already wondering how the number one Arshdeep Bains hater in the market, Jacob Lazar, that's how he was referred to in the chat, to be clear, is feeling about that one. Rajcraft said Jacob Bains' number one hater is in shambles right now. Bains is going to be a topic. He's going to be a topic that we talk about on today's show. It's going to be a mixed bag. It's going to be a mixed bag. People have different opinions. I don't know how Arshdeep Bains became such a contentious talking point in this market, but we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about everything with this game. But really, all in all, just a really, really fun night.
Yeah, and it's funny because it didn't feel like it might end that convincingly just based off the first two periods of the play, and certainly with the Canucks start. I think my biggest takeaway from last night was that this team feels completely different when you've got a healthy and in-form Thatcher Demko. And it's so funny because on yesterday's show, I was saying, if you can give me 45 Thatcher Demko games this season and 70 Filip Chytil games, this is a playoff team. I viewed those two. We spent so much time talking about Elias Pettersson, but those two are the biggest X factors on this team outside of Pettersson. And it's just such a so fitting that those guys ended up being the biggest difference makers last night, and especially Demko through the first two periods, because Calgary, because they'd already played their season opener the previous night, they already kind of had their legs and hands, and you could tell they had jump right from the get-go. As opposed to the Canucks, they were a little bit sluggish. They had tough times connecting plays through the neutral zone, I thought. And really, it was Demko that made the biggest difference. I thought they were pretty fortunate to enter the third period up 1-0, because it's not that Demko had to face a ton of shots and that the Canucks were horrible defensively in front of him or anything, but there were 4 or 5 legit high danger chances that Demko had to make. For example, second period power play, the Coleman shorthanded breakaway. Coleman again, poor night for Blake Coleman. 3 minutes into the first period, he was also robbed by Demko there, Sharangovich towards the end of the frame. And then you had Dustin Wolf on the other end, which we all expected that he was going to get the night off despite Calgary's weak goaltending situation, because he'd played the previous night in Edmonton, 8 rounds of the shootout, and Calgary has its season opener on Saturday. They make the surprise pick to turn to him, and he could tell he was rusty. That Kiefer Sherwood goal, which started to turn the momentum of the game, 95 times out of 100, Dustin Wolf has that. Mm-hmm. It's an unscreened shot off the rush, and it wasn't like Besser's snipe where he picked a corner and you're going, oh, that's a goal scorer's goal. That just went through Dustin Wolf. Shots don't leak through Dustin Wolf like that normally. So through 2 periods, goaltending was the biggest difference, and I think you could even see that in the numbers. The Flames at a 30-18 edge in 5-on-5 shot attempts. They controlled 66% of expected goals. But then what I like about the Canucks is that, all right, you've got the luxury of Thatcher Demko buying you time to get into a game. And then in the third period, everything clicked. That's when they took over and just put the boot down and took advantage of a tired Flames team. And you saw them executing offensively. You saw them connecting plays. It was nice that you got the good start because of Demko, and then the rest of the team came together and really made sure that they didn't leave it to any doubt in the third period.
5 goals is going to be the headline tonight, right? 5 goals past Dustin Wolf. That's not going to happen many times in the season. But of course, like you were saying, Harm, 4 of those came in the third period. Let's break it all down. Our opening segment is brought to you by our friends over at Uber Eats. We were there yesterday. We had a ton of fun. I saw some content posted on Canucks Army. Irf was there. It was a good time. We were hanging out with Uber Eats, who are giving fans the ultimate game day experience all season long. The best matchups on the ice are made even better with top pairings and exclusive game day offers on Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app starting on home opener game night, as you should have found out yesterday. You can get anything, almost anything, truly, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Okay, lots to get to in this one. Again, I mentioned it, 5 goals. None of those coming from Quinn Hughes. You can be honest, Harm. This is a safe space. With all the Avs fans talking up this guy's such a homer, blah, 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 whatever. Did it bother you a little bit that there was no points for Quinn Hughes last night?
Yeah. Well, not bother me, but I hope they weren't tuning in and thinking, like, imagine if you're an Avs fan and you're going, all right, this is the one night I'm going to watch Quinn Hughes play. And it's the one night that he looks completely
Maybe this
human.
guy's onto something.
But no, it's really encouraging that the Canucks were able to pump 5 goals despite Hughes not getting a point. And it's so interesting to me the tactical approach Calgary took to trying to contain him. And this is something that they're going to have to adapt to, where we've seen teams try pressuring the top aggressively against Quinn Hughes, just try and bulldoze and close that time and space down right away. What we haven't seen, which Calgary threw in as a wrinkle, is that weak side winger who is normally responsible for covering Filip Hronek. He started cheating over and drifting to the middle and sort of the center point area. And what that did is you had 2 forwards now near the top of the offensive zone, where even if Quinn Hughes beat the first guy, it was as if there was NBA style help defense ready to provide a double team. And
it led to chances the other way, like odd man rushes the other way.
Well, not only that, but it also later in the game as Quinn became more polished, because I think in the first half, he just wasn't corralling pucks as cleanly as he was. His puck control was a little bit off. In the second half, I thought he was a lot cleaner in that area. But what you would notice then is, for example, the Adam Klapka, the one time he spin-a-rammed and broke Klapka's ankles.
Yeah.
It was, all right, he's beat one guy, but there's still Ryan Lomberg positioned in sort of the high slot area in the middle. So Quinn Hughes now doesn't have a lane to immediately attack the slot and generate a high danger chance. What he had to do was, on multiple occasions, flip the puck over to Filip Hronek, who, as a result of the Flames exerting all of their energy and attention on Hughes, Hronek was wide open and had so much time and space to attack downhill. That's going to be interesting to watch, is if other teams take that Calgary approach where it's as if there was 1.5 opponents or forwards on Quinn at all times. If they're going to do that and leave Hronek open and not really care about him, well, then Hronek's going to have to make them pay. So that's something that tactically I'm going to be keeping my eye on to see if other opponents take the Calgary approach you saw last night.
It's a good point. And Hronek had one of those downhill chances. It was stopped by Wolf, but he had a pretty prime opportunity. And you nailed it. People are loving your jacket, by the way. Ari45 said that jacket is a thing of beauty. Buttery Spread in the chat said Harm is absolutely dripping out in that jacket. I really like that jacket.
Thank you. I bought this on the November road trip that the Canucks were on last year. They were playing week long in California, Anaheim, and LA, and I was in Newport Beach, so went to the little Fashion Island, it's called, and I literally took this off the mannequin because they didn't have any of this style of jacket in stock. So I literally went up to the counter and was like, I see this jacket on the mannequin. Can I just buy it? And they sort of looked around and were like, sure, I guess.
That's awesome.
Is possible because
denim,
the Canucks,
corduroy? What do you got?
It's got a denim look, but it's actually corduroy.
Oh, okay. It is corduroy. Okay.
Yeah.
Suede's good. Suede, corduroy, I'm a big fan.
Only possible because of the Canucks California road trip last year. Wouldn't have sniped this otherwise.
Okay, I somehow got distracted. I was so dead set on not getting distracted because it feels like there's so much to talk about. Let's talk about the Filip Chytil angle here, Harm. 2 goals for Filip Chytil, almost a hat trick as well, but 2 goals for Filip Chytil. A really strong night. Arshdeep Bains picks up a point on one of the Chytil goals, and we'll talk about Bains later. But 2 goals for Filip Chytil. And look at Jake Fraser pulling up the clips of the goals. Look at that one. And yeah, the one that everybody's kind of talking about is the one where the puck went off Kevin Ball's head. It went right back to Chytil. Kevin Ball's okay, right? Did we ever find out post game? Oh no, there was no update on Kevin Ball. I actually remember that. Gemma asked about it, and they said no update. Okay, so Filip Chytil's night. A big statement game for him is the way I looked at it. It was the way it was described in the Stanchies over at CanucksArmy.com by our pal Wyatt Arndt as well. And I must say, the biggest conversation we were having this offseason, or one of the biggest, I'm not going to, whatever. There was a lot of conversations. One of the biggest conversations we've had, and leading into last night as well, is, oh my gosh, second line center. And you've been, I don't know if I'm giving you too much credit here, but you've been one of the people that's like, if Filip Chytil can stay healthy, he's like a fine second line center. He's maybe a little bit low end, but we've never really gotten a chance to see him stay healthy. And can I just say this about Chytil? Last thing about Chytil before I throw to you here. Every time I watch him cut into the middle, I'm like, where's the defenseman? Does he see them? Like, I see them because it's a broadcast view, but does Filip Chytil know that there's a guy coming to his blind side here? Like, he plays the game really hard, and he loves to drive to the middle. Like, he loves to carry the puck in. And Adam Foote was even talking about how the coaching staff was going over film with them to like try to limit that in his game a little bit. Not to limit him bringing the puck in, but just like, hey, if there's 3 guys all converging on you, don't skate straight into them. Like, that kind of thing was kind of what they were talking about. And I noticed that last night. And literally, like, I wasn't exaggerating. Like, 3 guys, 2 defensemen and a forward just converging on him as he's carrying the puck in the zone. I'm like, where's he going to go? He's got nowhere to go. He's going to take contact. And he, to his credit, he passed it off and then, got away and all that sort of stuff. But he plays the game really hard. I respect it. But man, like, especially given his concussion history, again, we talk about the 6 concussions. Every time I watch him skate through the neutral, it's like when Demko first got back, and every time he dropped into the RVH, you were like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? It's like that with Filip Chytil for me right now. But a really good night for Filip Chytil.
Absolutely. I loved how he wasn't just trying to bulldoze his way through players attacking in straight lines, because sometimes we know how speedy and dynamic he is off the rush, and he has good dekes, but sometimes he tries to force his way through traffic, even when there isn't really a lot of space to make a play. And on occasion, he's been able to push through anyway in a chaotic way because of all his speed and forward momentum. But it's also occasionally led to turnovers and put him in vulnerable spots where a defender can step up and absolutely lay him out. I liked that he was more methodical about his routes. There was more east-west. There was a rush in the first period where I loved the pass he made across to Garland, and that led to a near scoring chance. Even you look at his first goal, which of course was a bit of a fortunate bounce off of Ball's head and lands right on Chytil's stick with Dustin Wolf completely out of position. But I like the fact that he made a move to cut into the slot laterally. That's a high skill play.
Yeah.
That's the difference between top 6 players at the NHL level and bottom 6 players, guys who can drive offenses. That's a dangerous, risky move in the sense that if you turn a puck over there, it's a turnover in a spot where the rest of your line mates are caught deep in the offensive zone. The other team's going to have numbers going back the other way. So you have to be really confident in your ability to make high-skilled plays in tight areas where you could get checked. You've got to really have masterful puck control. And that's exactly what Chytil did to beat the first guy to give himself the initial shooting lane. Whereas a lot of bottom 6 guys, they would have had the puck on the left side of the ice like Chytil did and maybe skated it up high or passed it back to the point. They wouldn't have tried to cut into the slot. And it's that sort of daring, high-skill play moving east-west that created the scoring opportunity in the first place.
See the give and go with Quinn Hughes too?
Yeah.
Again, we talk about East-West. And it's funny, post-game, Adam Foote was very complimentary of the Canucks East-West movement in that game. And I don't know, man, when it comes in the same night, the Philadelphia Flyers lose 2-1 in a game where they got 20 shots and Matvei Michkov skating on the 4th line or skating with 4th liners. I don't know. Maybe we weren't hard enough on Tocchet. I'll be honest. I've had that thought. Do you agree with me?
Yeah. If this is going to be the story where Michkov isn't deployed like the elite first liner, and we see his offensive total stagnate, then yeah, I'll put my hand up and say I was wrong.
And
Without a doubt.
likewise, because there was a lot of people that really didn't like Rick talking to him. We were like, he's not the problem. It's, we said that a few times, that it was like, well, he doesn't want the forwards to do this. But then, hey, Filip Chytil let the cat out of the bag. He talked about how he started getting bombarded with systems and stopped trying to carry the puck after 2 games in Vancouver. Anyways, we don't need to revisit all that right now. But definitely something I'm ready to say I might have been wrong about is I might have not been hard enough on Rick talking his negative impact on the team last year. Not taking anything away from what happened the year before, but anyways, I'm sure we'll have lots of time to get to that conversation. Someone left a comment here. Mark said there was a comment about Chytil working on neck strength over the summer. Very smart thing to do to mitigate concussion risk. Did you hear Chytil say this?
No, I didn't catch it live. No.
Okay, because I heard someone talk about this as well. How Chytil shared that happened. This is one guy that I'd like to eventually talk to just in a one-on-one setting and just chat with him a little bit. Because there's and this is not an ad, but have you heard of Iron Neck? Do you know what that is?
Is that like head contraption thing where you do neck curls and stuff?
Yeah. So you do neck exercises. Cause like any weighted neck exercise can be really dangerous, right? Like if you don't do it properly. And this Iron Neck thing, the reason I've heard about it is there's a lot of different, in the mixed martial arts community, there's a lot of people that do that because it gives you a stronger chin, quote unquote. But really it does. It helps with like chronic neck pain, or it's supposed to. And it also really is supposed to help mitigate risk of concussions. Now, I have never used it. I have never, I'm just going off of what people who have used it have told me about it, and they swear by it. So I'll be interested to see if like that's what Chytil's doing or how he's strengthening his neck. But you know what? For the guys that I know that take blows to the head, and they swear by it. They swear that it's helped them, feel stronger when they're in fights.
Okay, so a lot of people might not know this about me, but I train a lot in the gym. I'm just finished up a cut, so I'm a little skinnier than I normally am. But I've dove very deep into neck training, just researching because I thought it was very interesting.
Really?
And I've tried it a couple times, not with the weird head contraption or whatever, but just some body weight exercise, because I'd seen boxers as well.
Yes.
Do it because it helps with head impact and whatever. And anyway, I've done it out of curiosity, and from my research as well, your neck grows quicker than your other muscles in your body, and you notice the gains right away.
Yes.
There was probably a 6-week stretch a year ago where I trained my neck consistently, and you could immediately see visual difference, and my posture was a lot better. And then I fell off and wasn't as consistent with it. But you notice once you start neck training, you notice the results very quickly, much more quickly compared to your other body parts.
What exercise did you do to strengthen your neck? What are you talking about?
Just like neck curls. Like if you search like Jeff Nippert or something on YouTube, you load a light plate on your forehead with a towel. You're on the edge of a bench, and then it's
You do this in the gym, a public gym?
No, not anyway. No, definitely not a public gym.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm like, dude, you're tying a towel to your head with a weight?
It's not tying a towel around your head. You're just placing it under the plate.
I'm not sure I understand. The first way you described it made me think, okay, I'm going to put the plate on and then I'm going to drape a towel over and tie it around.
So instead of putting the plate directly on your forehead, you put a cloth towel under the plate so that it's just not a direct plate on your head.
Oh, okay. Now I get.
Yeah,
I think you're like sitting upright trying to balance a plate and putting it on the top of your head. Okay.
No.
Okay, well,
and you're lying down on a bench.
Yes, now I get it. Now I get
Yeah.
That's why I was very curious.
But no, I didn't.
In the chat, sorry,
I didn't stick consistently with it because I didn't want to look like a lunatic doing it.
I hear you.
But when I did it at home, it made a significant difference. And we should have a chat with Chytil about this, because especially for someone that's had a history of head injuries, that could make him sturdier and when he does occasionally take some upper body contact, make the foundation of his upper body a little bit more stable and less likely to have whiplash and things like that.
Yeah, okay. People in the chat are saying F1 drivers deal with a lot of G-force stress, which we obviously know, but they work out their neck a ton. That's very interesting. Yeah, this is something I'm very interested to see. As we wrap up the conversation on Chytil, I think it transitions well into a conversation about the power play and the penalty kill. Power play, 0 for 4. Penalty kill, 4 for 4. Look great. Penalty kill looking great, even without Teddy Bluger. Kind of makes you think they could trade him, Harm, like we were talking about yesterday. But before we really talk about the penalty kill, let's talk about the power play, because PP1 just struggled to get set up. And I texted you as well. I said, like, this is what I was talking about in the offseason, where I said maybe Chytil's a good fit on that first power play unit because we know he can gain the zone. Tell me with your analysis, why did the Canucks struggle to gain the zone so much last night? Specifically the first unit.
I don't want to pick on one guy because I don't think anyone was particularly sharp. Pedersen on a couple zone entries wasn't the cleanest making plays. Quinn Hughes can, at his best, be a one-man. And I don't think he was that. But a lot of plays died on Evander Kane's stick. And sometimes when they did get set up, he would make blind passes back to the point or be under pressure and just straight up turn it over. And that would then force them to have to enter the zone again and again. I counted at least 4 or 5 turnovers that Kane had on PP1, where he's got to be able to make a more poised, controlled pass. And that's where, whether it's Chytil or I'd honestly even lean towards Jonathan Lekkerimaki.
Yeah.
On that left half wall, you need somebody that's a little bit more poised and a better passer under pressure, because Kane from distance has a good shot. I can understand why you may look at a shot and go, that could be dangerous attacking downhill from the left flank. But as a half wall guy, there are so many situations, both off of entries and in zone, where you're going to be under duress and you've got to make, in small, tight areas, these little saucer passes or be really clean corralling pucks. Your puck control has to be second to none in those spots. And that's why it's usually superstar players that run the half walls on most power play ones around the NHL. I just don't know if Kane has that skill set. Whereas I look at Lekkerimaki, and every time I've watched him on the power play, he looks so like there's no panic in his game in those situations. He is so clean at, all right, if there's a puck rim door on the wall and there's a penalty killer coming at me, I have a really good sense and feel for pressure, and I'm going to be able to make the poised play. Whereas I don't want to jump to conclusions too quickly after one game, but it didn't look good for Kane in that spot last night.
I wanted to give a shout out to Daniel Wagner in his post-game recap. He wrote, Evander Kane heard, "We want you to replace JT Miller on the power play," and replied, "Say no more. I knew exactly what you want," and proceeded to send blind backhand passes to the point. Like we said, like you said, we don't want to pick on one guy, and I'm certainly not moving Evander Kane off the power play right now. But it's like I said before the season started, eventually, and I wasn't expecting it to be game 1, and there's still time for them to bounce back. They're just getting used to being a unit together, whatever, and they look good in the preseason. Eventually, you're going to want to make a change on that power play. And I said at the time, my first change would probably be Kane for Chytil. And that wasn't even like, oh, I don't think Kane's going to fit in. And again, this isn't about Kane. It's not about Kane, what I'm trying to say. It's that I think Filip Chytil would really help on those zone entries. And man, I didn't think there'd be a second option for this conversation. But you're right. Jonathan Lekkerimaki, the way he attacks the middle of the ice now, we have never seen him play like this. And I don't know if this is a bold take at this point. I don't think it is. I think Lekkermaki's here to stay. I don't think he's going anywhere, personally. I think he's got it now. Like, he's got the awareness that it takes to play at this level. He's not getting caught on the walls anymore. Like, before, it kind of felt like he would try to protect the puck, get shaken off the puck, or get the puck poked away, and then he'd be like, it's like he's skating in quicksand to get it back. His offensive zone retrievals, his forechecking last night, and it continues the trend we saw in the preseason. Dude was a dog on the bone. There was a sequence, I believe, in the first period, toward the end of the first, where him and Garland were just creating havoc, okay? Just creating absolute havoc in the ozone. And then eventually the Flames defense started to break it out. And usually, like, most guys would go off for a change, or most guys would be kind of like, okay, we had 2 minutes in the offensive zone, but it's over. We're going to kind of not dog it, but I'm not going to put everything I have into getting back. Dude is skating as hard as he can, and he hits the Calgary player, from behind, but not in a dirty way, just like from behind. He starts attacking the player, and he gets the puck back and immediately gets it back in the zone and stays out there. Like, that's the kind of thing that you don't see from a rookie, Jonathan Lecker. And I mean, he's rookie eligible this year, but that's the kind of thing you didn't see before. It's the kind of thing you didn't see in the AHL, even at times. Like, in the AHL, he started to get that, especially as the season went along. He became a very complete player. I know the point totals were great, but again, just watching his progression, like, and here's a comment from Jody Bertelson, who puts it really well. I think there's no hesitation in his game anymore, with the puck or without the puck. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Jonathan Lekkerimaki.
It's interesting because I think I'm actually a little bit lower on Lekkermaki's play last night.
Crazy.
Just a little bit. I think that on a shift by shift basis, he wasn't very noticeable offensively up until his goal. But I think that highlights how when you've got a shot that can beat goalies cleanly from distance, he's the rare kind of one shot scorer that you can be quiet the whole game. All it takes is one play and one opportunity, and you walk out of that game with a goal on a night that you would look at and go, I actually think he had more to give in terms of driving play offensively. Sure. And I'm not trying to frame that as a negative. It's just it's a good thing that on a night where, compared to the preseason, I don't think he was as involved with the in-zone attack. And when you look at that line's underlying numbers, they really didn't muster a lot of shots and chances. Although, as you noted, some of his defensive details were pretty sound. He still found a way to get on the score sheet. And you look at how that goal was scored. Nice pass by Evander Kane. And on that play, it's easy to think Dustin Wolf should have had that. But the quickness of that release, and most importantly, the location of the shot, it was in that awkward spot right above the goalie's pads, but below the blocker. When you're able to pinpoint that spot coming off a one-timer, you're going to beat a lot of NHL goaltenders, especially from that spot. So I love seeing that shot. He's shooting it with a ton of confidence right now. And that's part of the reason why, if Kane struggles again on PP1 on Saturday, I want to see Lekkerimaki get a look, because he's feeling it as a shooter right now. And I want him to have as many touches with the puck in the attacking zone as he can get.
RE45 in the chat said, I'm old enough to remember Quads dunking on Lekkerimaki in the preseason. Hey, he's got the opportunity and he is seizing it. And what a positive development for this team, Harm. Like, this was not the conversation. I mean, obviously, it was not the conversation that we were having that, hey, this is going to be an impact player for this team this season. But it was almost like, okay, well, he might not be the most complete player, but he's going to have a really good shot no matter what. So you got to have him on this team, because that's something that everybody's going to have to contend with. I don't know. I'm really liking everything I'm seeing, even off of the puck. And maybe I'm wrong. I think he's feeding a lot off of the other guys on this team. Like, we talked about Lekkerimaki and said, oh, well, he's missing the Garland element and the Höglander element of being able to shield the puck. And obviously he's not at that level, but I think he's feeling the work ethic that those guys bring. And I think he's had something click where he realizes, okay, what those guys do when they don't have the puck, that's what makes them stick at the NHL level. And that's what I'm going to have to do to stick at the NHL level. I'm not saying he's doing it at the level of those guys, but the effort level is there for Lekkerimaki with or without the puck on his stick. And of course he has that lethal shot. Like, he's quickly becoming a really important part of this team in my mind. And it's crazy that, you started your sentence with, I think I'm actually a little lower on him than you are after last night, which is very, very funny, because just a week or two ago, we were having quite a spirited debate about that kid and about his future. But man, S. Little Boston even pointed out as well, He looks physically stronger too. That was something Alvin spoke about as well. Shorter off season, but came in stronger. So, and LC250 said, Lekkerimaki, Coots duo, Morrison, Naslund. Look at that. And Arshdeep Bains is Todd Bertuzzi. Let's talk about Arshdeep Bains. Let's go to Arshdeep Bains. I want to talk about Coots as well. We'll kind of go up and down the lineup here. There's a lot to get to from last night's game, but Arshdeep Bains, Harm, gets the assist on the Chytil goal. We want to see more offense. I thought it was a good game for Bains, but it's also worth mentioning a couple uncharacteristic, I'd say they're uncharacteristic, giveaways. The one that Coronado should have buried was because of a Bains giveaway. And there was one as well. It was less impactful. Like, it was less like, oh man, the Flames could have done something big there. But there was just a couple giveaways I noticed where I was like, okay, like, he's got to clean that up. And it was funny. The other day, I think it was Scott Young was talking about Arshdeep Bains, like, yeah, we got to clean up some of the high risk stuff in his game. And in my head, I was like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? High risk Arshdeep Bains. I think that's what they're talking about is those kind of plays. But he looked like he belonged last night. Maybe not an NHL top 6, but he looked like an NHL player last night, I think.
The good far outweighed the bad.
Yeah, and the PK
speed,
didn't even bring it up.
His speed just stands out way more than it did in, let's say, camp and preseason settings, especially watching him live. He looks so quick hunting down loose pucks, and it allows him to just hound opponents on the forecheck to win battles. I think he's become stronger, so you're seeing him able to leverage his body to win battles physically as well. And yeah, he had the one mistake in terms of failed exit that Calgary eventually hemmed that line in, and they got the lone goal on Thatcher Demko. But outside of that, his zone exits, he also had quite a few where he was under heavy duress and he showed impressive escapability and was able to make a controlled play out of the zone, which helped that line out defensively. A couple of really gutsy shot blocks on the PK, an intercepted pass. Bains looks really good on the penalty kill. And if he can continue that, you combine that with his speed and him becoming stronger, well, then now I can see the identity for him sticking as an everyday. Like, you've got a distinct role now, as opposed to, I think, 2 years ago, Bains wasn't nearly as athletically gifted. His skating was about average, and his strength was about average too. Both those areas he's taken massive strides in. And when you combine that with his two-way IQ, which has always been arguably the best asset of his game, you've potentially got something interesting going on there. And it's also interesting. I had a chat with Connor Garland after the game, and he said that he wants Bains taking more chances with the puck. And I think you saw him trying to make things happen a little bit more often. Not all of them panned out, but none of them really cost the team either. And you had instances where it really did work. There was a beautiful stretch pass that he made in the first period out of the defensive zone where he sprung Connor Garland. And it was almost a partial breakaway type of sequence where Garland went around the outside and was driving to the net. It was going to be a grade A chance until Dustin Wolf made a smart move to poke the puck off Garland's stick. And then, of course, the stretch pass on Chytil's breakaway goal 2. You're seeing him dial up the creativity with his passing a little bit. And I like the fact that Garland's quote to me basically was, we obviously don't want to be giving up pizzas and having breakaways coming at us, but we want to make plays. He's smart. He should have the confidence to trust his skill set. And he understands that when you come up from the American League, you're a little bit shy to make plays. You're a little bit afraid to make a mistake. But I like that we've come on this show and said, all right, if he's going to play up the lineup and he's going to and make an offensive impact, he's going to need to, he can't just be a safe player. He needs to drive offense and show some of the creativity that he has at the AHL level. It's nice to see him slowly move in that direction in game 1.
Dylan McDonald said his PK shot blocks were great. Guy has heart. That is for damn sure. Thatcher Demko postgame called those big boy blocks from Arshdeep Bains. They were big boy blocks from Bains. Yeah, all in all, a solid first night for Bains. Canucks are going to go with the same lineup tomorrow in Edmonton. Speaking of which, do you have your tickets yet? Actually, the answer to that is probably yes, because our promotion of this event and how excited we are of this event is clearly coming through, because spots are now limited for our watch party tomorrow night at Greta. Remember, folks, you got to secure your spot. Nationgear.ca. The tickets are free, which is probably why there's so many people coming, but we have a lot of people that have already RSVP'd. Space is limited. Make sure you bring your friends. Come hang out with us. You've got the arcade, you've got the bar, and you've got the street food menu with some phenomenal deals as well for tomorrow's game. Again, puck drops at 7, doors open at 6. Come hang out with us. We're going to have a really good time. Me, Harmon, Tyson Cole's going to be there as well. We got a lot of people. Irf and Jeff are also going to come for at least the start of the game, and then they'll, head to the Rink-Wide studios and all that and get ready to do the Rink-Wide post-game show. But we're going to have a great time. Make sure you come on out. Greta Bar, YVR, 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Game's going to begin tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. I'm very, very excited for this one. All right. Ahead of our poll question, I wanted to keep talking about this game a little bit more, because our poll question is about the game, and there's one guy we haven't talked about yet, and that is Braden Coots. Makes his NHL debut, plays just over 11 minutes of ice time. Really liked what I saw, Harm. Again, played some pretty sheltered minutes, obviously. Like, they're not going to, he's not going to be hard matched against anyone crazy, but a few plays, the ones that stand out to me, is breaking the puck out of his own end with his head up, started up some transition offense because he was able to keep his head up, change his angle, and find an outlet pass on a couple different occasions to the neutral zone. I really liked the game from Braden Coots last night.
He came exactly as advertised, in my opinion. He met my expectations. I'm not going to say he exceeded them, but he met them. And for an 18-year-old drafted outside of the top 10 in their NHL debut, all I'm hoping for is, can this player take a regular shift, not be a liability, and prove that they can hang and survive at this level? And Coots checked that box. Outside of one neutral zone turnover in the second half of the game, he was really clean with the puck, as you alluded to. His first touch is just so polished. Whenever he receives it, there was one sequence where there was a partial change, I want to say, and Besser fed him a tough pass. It was the puck was elevated. It wasn't flat on the ice. And it was a spot where if Coots wasn't able to cleanly corral it, would have been a turnover and an opportunity for Calgary to transition back with numbers the other way. And he was able to settle it cleanly enough to make sure he didn't turn it over. So those little subtle details that helps make a player reliable. It's also worth pointing out that the ice time was limited a little bit just because of how much special teams action there was.
Yeah.
16 minutes. That's nearly a whole period of special teams. And outside of some mop-up duty on PP2, Coots obviously doesn't factor into that part of it. Plus, Adam Foote mentioned after the game that you have to be careful and intentional about what spots am I deploying Coots out there for once Vancouver had scored the third and fourth goals, because he thought the Flames were running around. And
yeah, they were Lomberg, especially.
You could notice they were trying to get some payback, and Foote didn't want to put Coots in a position where he could be taken advantage of. But on the other side of the coin, I think it's also fair to say that overall it was a quiet performance in the sense that there wasn't a lot of good or bad, where it's not like he was driving a ton of offense and really noticeable and making flashy plays. I'm not convinced yet that he's going to be able to make a consistent top 9 impact. And it's what I said for the last couple of weeks when we've had this Coots conversation, is there's a difference between being able to hold your own in an NHL environment, and then the next level up is, okay, are you driving play? Are you making a consistent top 9 impact? And for an 18-year-old drafted outside the top 10, it's already an amazing accomplishment if you can just hang, just not be a liability, prove that you've got some NHL traits that can that can play at this level. Coots has certainly checked the first box, but if he continues on this trajectory, if this is more or less what we're going to get, which is totally fine, then I think he would benefit from going back to junior. I think that's important to clarify as well.
He's earned at least one more game. He's going to be in the lineup tomorrow in Edmonton. Adam Foote confirmed that at practice day. You can read more scenes from practice over at CanucksArmy.com. All right, our poll question. It is about last night's game, and it's who impressed you the most in last night's win. I gotta vote in this. Hold on. I gotta vote in this. I gotta get the results. Let's see. Our options were Arshdeep Bains, Thatcher Demko, Filip Chytil, or other. And we asked people to reply below. Filip Chytil leads the way with 55.6% of the vote. Thatcher Demko gets 29.4%. Arshdeep Bains, fittingly, gets 13.8% of the vote. And 1.3% said other. Those people were talking about different stuff. They were not talking about who else they thought, at least in the replies below. So Filip Chytil leads the way, the most impressive. I think that is I think that's the correct answer. I think it's the most impressive one, most impressive player, and also the most promising for success this season is how well Filip Chytil played last night.
It was by far Vancouver's best line, and when I mentioned that through the first two periods, the Canucks looked a little bit sluggish, that wasn't the case at all for the Chytil, Garland, Bains line. They were buzzing right away. They were faster than Vancouver's other lines, and from their very first shift of the game, Filip Chytil on a ferocious back check was able to force, I think it was Matvei Gradin, offside. You could tell right away, all right, when he's that dialed in away from the puck too, he's probably going to have a good night. So from puck drop till the end of the game, one of the only Canucks skaters who was noticeable, impactful, and on top of his game for the entire 60 minutes.
Also worth mentioning Thatcher Demko. Again, you talked about him off the top. Held down the fort when they needed him to, and then was just good the rest of the way. Yeah, really liked what I saw from Thatcher Demko last night. We broke it down in the statsies. Not to mention that easily could have been a 1-1 game heading into the third period.
It easily could have been a 1-0 game for Calgary.
Yeah, exactly.
Because again, they had more shot attempts. They had more scoring chances. And it's not to say that Calgary had this huge upper hand. It was a pretty close game, but they did have slightly more dangerous looks. And I thought through the first two periods, outside of a couple of Chytil shifts, Canucks weren't really manufacturing anything offensively on Wolf. And again, the Sherwood goal, I thought too, was a bit fortunate in the sense that Wolf probably stops that more often than not. So this could have easily, in a different scenario with different goaltenders, been 1-0 for the Flames heading into the third period.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing I was going to bring up from the statsies is that it was over 1 point, or is 1.59 goals above expected save for Thatcher Demko. So yeah, really, really like that start from Thatcher Demko. Solid start to his season. Do you think he starts tomorrow, Harm?
I think so.
I say yes. It was almost a shutout. Give him the start.
Yeah, and it's the second game of the season, so I don't think you gotta split them all the time, especially playing the Oilers. I want Thatcher Demko in net to play against McDavid and those kinds of guys, and then you know that Lankinen's going to get. I'm curious to see, depending on what happens with the Edmonton game, because next week they got St. Louis on the Monday. But then they also go on the road and have a back-to-back. So Lankinen will get at least one of those games. But then how do you approach it in the sense that if Demko plays against Edmonton, are you going to trot him out for a third game in a row? Or do you go Lankinen on Monday and then have two Lankinen games next week? Because on the back-to-back Thursday, Friday on the road, you're obviously not going to play Demko for both of those games.
I would go Lankinen Monday, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go about it. You give Demko that game against Edmonton, against the most dangerous offensive team, but then you're able to potentially give Lankinen 2 starts in a week and give Demko a chance to rest up and make sure that he's as dialed in physically as possible.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, let's get to anyone else. Anyone else's presentation of our friends at Pacific Toyota Dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. Drive up to 72 kilometers on the battery alone, seamlessly transition from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. There's no sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style with its sleek, low, and wide exterior and sophisticated interior. It's loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. You can plug in to recharge at home or at one of the over 2,000 public charging stations in BC alone. And now you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE for $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 60 months with $3,800 down, and it includes a $3,600 discount or $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. I brought up the Oilers game a few times. Tyler Remchuk and I was just reminded of this actually. Tyler Remchuk and I are doing a crossover episode of Canucks Convo. So Canucks Convo, Oilers Nation every day. We're going to have a crossover episode out. I think Saturday morning we'll post it. So we've got a lot to get to. It'll be fun to sit down and chat with Tyler. All right, I'm going to start anyone else with this. Did you see this from the San Jose game? San Jose and Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
So Jake Fraser is going to play the clips for us so that we can see them as we go. But basically, for those on the podcast, William Eklund misses the empty net opportunity. And let's be honest, that might have been a penalty, but it's not called because it's, end of the game, empty net. William Eklund does not bury the chance. Vegas comes the other way. Jack Eichel seemingly, stress on that, innocuously flips the puck in from
the red line.
From the red line. And it takes a weird hop on Alex Nedeljkovic, who lets it past him. It gets beat. There's no other way to say it, man. He gets beat.
It was so gentle too. Like sometimes it's all right. It's from the red line, but it was a hard slapper. This was floated in.
Yeah.
Like you or I could have stopped this without any issue.
Well, okay, it is harder than that though. Like it's dumped, and then there's the.
He's an NHL goaltender, Quads. He's an NHL goaltender. That's
okay.
Come on.
Yes, but everyone makes mistakes, and all I'm saying is, if you or I were in net, we might make the same mistake.
Well, at least we wouldn't make two boo-boos in one game.
So
because
Harman,
let's explain what happened in OT.
In the business, foreshadowing, as in overtime, which only went to overtime because of that gap from Nedeljkovic. This one is a little harder. The puck comes out basically to the blue line. He was going to face a 2-on-0. He gambles and decides that he's going to go play the puck. And it does not end well. It gets stopped at the blue line when he tries to clear it out. And then it's still a 2-on-0. But it's a real true 2-on-0 because Nedeljkovic is behind both Vegas players, frantically back-checking to try to get to the Vegas guys, and that did not work as the Sharks went on to lose in overtime.
Well, first of all, I picked Vegas to win that in the Daily Faceoff Survivor.
Oh, you did?
Well, yeah. So thank you, Alex Nedeljkovic, for keeping me alive, first of all. And second, I actually don't think the initial decision to rush up to the blue line was wrong. If you watch the clip back, what kills him is the moment of hesitation before he gets to the puck, where he's trying to see the ice and determine where should I make a play with the puck. He stops up.
Yeah, you're right.
As he gets to the puck. If he just kept going as fast as he could and his just glassing out or even icing the puck, because it would have been a 2-on-0. I think rushing out was actually the right play. What killed him was him slowing his momentum down 2 or 3 feet before he gets to the puck. That half a second made the entire difference. Because think about it. It should be a no-brainer. Would you rather ice the puck or face a 2-on-0? You'd rather ice the puck. But you also can't afford to, when you're out at the blue line, get too cute because you're at the blue line as a goaltender. So it should have been, there's no decision to make with the puck. You just sprint there as fast as you can and you shoot it wherever's possible. And he had the daylight, but him stopping up and trying to see where his options were, that's what killed him, not the initial decision to jump out there.
Dylan McDonald said he wants Gavin McKenna. I think the Sharks are going to be good this year, though. Like, not good, like better than last year. I guess that quickly had to preface that, but they're going to be better than last year. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be a good, fun, exciting team.
They'll be entertaining, especially because of stuff like this. But I don't know about them being good. I expect them to be a lot more competitive, especially if players like Michael Misa and Sam Dickinson are able to draw into lineup and make a big impact. But because of how horrid that blue line is, and because unless Askarov takes a step forward, their goaltending is still going to be a question mark. With those two things in mind, I am still expecting a bottom 3 to 5 finish for the Sharks.
Still be better than last year.
Yeah.
S. Little Boston said Josh Norris got injured last night versus the Rangers and will be out at least 2 weeks. That's a really tough blow for Buffalo. Just they can't have anything nice, man. It's really tough. I did want to say. Oh, sorry. Did you have anything
No, I
on
was gonna
Buffalo?
not just Josh Norris, but their entire new look second pair of Owen Power and Michael Kesselring wasn't available. Their starting goaltender Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen wasn't available. Zach Benson was out of the lineup, and I think there might have even been somebody else. But that's what 5 or 6 core player absences. Game 1 of the regular season. That's pretty nuts, man.
Abbotsford Canucks in action tonight. I wanted to mention this. Absolutely loaded blue line down there in Abbotsford. It's going to be interesting to see how Manny Malhotra deals with how many guys he has on that roster. They announced their roster today. Obviously, you've got Kirill Kudryavtsev, Sawyer Minio, and Tom Willander, kind of the big ones that you're going to be paying attention to tonight. And we'll see just how they do. They're playing the Henderson Silver Knights. We're going to read about it in the Farmies over at CanucksArmy.com. That's going to be out tomorrow morning because Dave's kids have a tournament of some sort. That's not a joke. That's actually that's why you'll read about this game tomorrow morning. Dave's busy tonight, but he's going to watch it. He's going to deliver us the Farmies tomorrow morning. So you'll read about that tomorrow and you'll have the watch party with us against Vancouver versus Edmonton. That'll be tomorrow night. So your Saturday is well planned for you. Any final thoughts, Harm?
No, I'm just glad they took care of business against Calgary. That should have been a give me. It was right there on the tee with Calgary, not just playing the previous night in Edmonton, but it going 7 or 8 rounds deep in the shootout and facing a tired Dustin Wolf. So I'm glad that they were able to really decisively take control of the game in the third period and ensure that a lot of the positive vibes that this team seemed to have in camp and preseason, ensured that it has started to carry over to the regular season too.
Okay. Final thing for me, I'm extremely scared for the Mariners-Tigers game tonight. Yeah, it's really hard to get Tarek Skubal twice in one series, and the Mariners are going to try to do it tonight. And I'm sick to my stomach just thinking about it. Like, such a magical season, and it might end tonight. And I would be very, very upset if it ended tonight. And I'm gonna try. I've been trying all day not to think about it, but I'm so worried about tonight's game. Like, I'm not usually superstitious. I'm just a little stitious, but I've got Bert was wearing his Mariners bandana last game. That's not happening again. That got taken off. I'm not wearing my jersey tonight. Yeah, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about tonight's game. I'm not gonna lie.
I forgot that was happening tonight. I guess I'm gonna have to tune in.
5:00. 5:00. Did you see what happened in the Phillies game last night?
No, I did not. There were a million NHL games going on.
So, reliever for them, Ryan Kerkering, young guy, good pitcher too. Gets a ground ball with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 11th. Okay, ground ball right to him with the bases loaded, and instead of going to first, where he had a lot of time to get the final out of the inning that would have got them out of the inning and kept the game moving, he threw it to home where he didn't have time, and he missed the catcher by about 5 feet, and the Dodgers won on a walk-off error. It is one of the biggest gaffes in MLB playoff history, and it was really, really tough. And I really, really feel bad for him. That's a brutal way for your season to end. But major credit to him. He answered questions about it after the game, and he was so honest and just that's a really, really tough moment. And you know what? That's the thing. A lot of people learned his name last night. I've known who that is for a really long time. He's a really promising young pitcher, and I hope that doesn't define his career. It really shouldn't. He's a really, really good pitcher, and I hope he's able to kind of bounce back from that. And and people were bringing up Bill Buckner versus the Mets. You remember this? I was talking with Jim Rutherford about this.
Yeah.
in Penticton. You were there. That Buckner moment, people don't remember. That came in Game 6 of the World Series. That wasn't this ended the Phillies season. Now, they could have got more runs throughout the game, but didn't. So this is all you're going to remember. But I digress. This ended the Phillies season, a very promising season for the Phillies. So I would agree that this was worse than the Bill Buckner moment. Because the Bill Buckner moment. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say Bill Buckner?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched the documentary.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, people, as the years have gone by, seem to remember that being it was backbreaking in the end, but people seem to remember that being like, oh, that's why they lost. No, like that wasn't the play that ended their chances at a World Series, which this was for Kirkering and the Phillies. So that really sucked. But yeah, that was a tough ending. Thought we had to at least mention it. It was a big moment in the world of sports last night.
Sweet.
All right, let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day. We are not touching the. Oh, actually, yeah, there's no NHL games tonight for some reason. So let's go to Saturday's slate of games. We're taking the. Oh my gosh, yeah, come on, home opener. Dustin Wolf's gonna be bouncing back. He's feeling great after those 2 games. Plus 105 odds. You can get Flames money line. We're taking the Wagon Flames bet. Make sure you remember that. Make sure you remember that for Monday. Calgary Flames versus St. Louis Blues home opener.
Oh, before we end, I was in the press box with Moj last night.
Oh no!
And I got some intel that the fantasy baseball league you guys are in, you guys claim to be experts, and I know my ball, and I know this guy, and I know that guy. Go-to sources. I'm hearing that in a 15-player league, Jacob is 15th and you're 11th. And I got a screenshot to prove this.
Yes. Okay. And my draft did not go very well. I talked about this as soon as it happened. My draft did not go well. And this is the thing. Moj, no offense to Moj, great guy, hosts the league on CBS Fantasy. Anybody who's ever had to play CBS Sports Fantasy understands how awful that app is. It literally is so much that it makes me not want to check the app. And I'm probably, honestly, I'm not rage quitting, but I might sit out the league next year and just tell Moj, like, I can't manage a league on this stupid app. It's awful to use. There's no
blaming an app. Blaming an app is crazy. This is giving the I lost the game, so now I'm taking my ball home.
Well, no, I can pay better attention when it's on ESPN or when it's on Yahoo even. CBS sucks. CBS Sports sucks. It's an awful app unless they want to sponsor the podcast. But it's an awful app to use. And yeah, I'm sorry. I drafted
my stick and skates are why I'm not a good hockey player.
Look, man, you can ask Mode. past 2 years, I've been in first place in April, May. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I've started the season well because I draft really well. And then I got to make waiver pickups and waiver claims, and the app sucks. The app is awful, and I don't want to use it, and I don't want to check it. So I often don't check the league. And then, oh yeah, I fall down the standings. Whatever. I don't need to defend myself.
You're right. Just take your ball and go home.
Yeah, I am. I'm not playing this stupid league next year. All right. We'll wrap it up there. For my co-host, Harman Dial, and our technical producer, Jake Frazier. My name is Dave Woodrelli. Thanks so much for this episode of Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.